When you think of creative movement, you may think of dancing or gymnastics, but for me, my mind goes elsewhere. I think of parkour. Parkour, in my opinion, is the rawest, most artistic form of movement. But it hasn't always been that way. Parkour's origins actually trace back to a training method developed at the start of World War I by
Georges Hébert.
This was at the time known as
La méthode naturelle.
This involved training in running, jumping, climbing, balancing, swimming and defending, and the use of obstacle courses called
Parcours du combattant.
In the 50s, a man named Raymond Bell was training these techniques for use in the military and as a firefighter. Later on in life, he decided to train his son David in the same techniques. Sometime in the 90s, David had begun to perfect these techniques. David and his group of friends, who called themselves a Yamakasi, added more and more challenges and more movements to them, which started bringing this military technique into the niche but beloved sport we know as parkour. David Bell is often credited as the godfather of parkour for this reason. But that's enough of a history lesson. Fast forward 30 years and we have, in my opinion, one of the most artistic yet underappreciated sports. Break it down simply, parkour is moving from point A to point B as quickly and efficiently as possible. But in the modern day, it's so much more than that. Every athlete has their own style, their own set of movements that they like to do. They add flair to these movements with different flips and tricks. Every athlete's style is so personal and varies so much from each other, it feels almost impossible to say it isn't an art form. The creativity these athletes can put into their runs is amazing. Parkour takes a man-made world of city architecture, all these towering buildings, walls, rails around every corner, and turns the mundane structures into a platform to perform these artistic and creative movements. Now, one person that comes to mind when I think of individual style is Orlando from Team Fat. Orlando moves in such a way that looks so animalistic and natural, it almost looks instinctual, as if it were human nature to move this way. Every single movement he does flows so nicely into each other, it's actually beautiful to watch. He moves in such a way that has been dubbed monkey style.
Monkey in action.
A style which heavily focuses on leading with your arms, using your arms just as much as your legs and leading in a less upright human manner. It's very springy, bouncy and sporadic, just like how a monkey would move, hence the name. As with every sport or hobby, there is a culture surrounding it, and just like the sport, parkour's culture is widely creative. From music to clothing to videos, the parkour community creates some amazing things. A good example of this creativity is Stora. Stora are a group of friends who all practice parkour, but to the parkour community, they are so much more. And in my eyes, they're some of the most creative, artistic, and influential individuals in the parkour community. Stora started their YouTube channel in 2010, and since then they have been regularly uploading parkour videos, be it in the style of vlogs, challenges, or highlights. From this, they grew a massive audience which is still growing to this day. They have made parkour their job, which is a dream to many parkour athletes, and they pretty much owe their lives to the sport. But not only has the sport given so much to them, they have given so much back. Their videos are some of the most creative and well-produced pieces of media in parkour, showcasing amazing movement alongside a fitting soundtrack with amazing visuals and graphics. But their creativity doesn't end in just videos. They run a clothing brand which has become one of the most popular brands in parkour. You can see influences from streetwear and skate culture in their designs, but it's evident they have made it their own and set a precedent for parkour clothing. One member who stands out to me with their creativity in particular is Josh. He is so stylistic and individual with his movements, it's near impossible to put into words. The C&J series, which ran on Stora's YouTube for a while, showcases his creativity perfectly. Josh's style is so unique due to an injury he sustained a few years back, causing some serious damage to a ligament in his ankle. This has pushed him to adopt a lower impact style of parkour, which pushes him to view his environments differently, even from his peers, and see it in a way that he can use it. Another place Josh equally stands out for me is in his fashion. Alongside his creative movements, Josh was one of the early adapters of this new parkour fashion, throwing away the grey baggy joggers of the early 2000s, and adopting cargo joggers and bucket hats and tactical vests, setting the standard for what we now see as modern parkour fashion. Due to his unique style, he's actually landed himself some model work, going on to model for brands like like Primark and Nike. Josh isn't the only member of Stara who shines in their creativity, but to me he's definitely a standout member. So for me, parkour is the epitome of a creative sport. Not just the sport itself, but everything that surrounds it, and I hope this has given you somewhat of an insight into why.